Good evening and a very warm welcome to Radio and Television Tonga News Package for the hour. Leading our bulletin this evening, Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom dies at age 96 this morning, with Prince Charles stepping up as the new king and head of the Commonwealth States. Police search continues for 3 people missing at sea, and Tongan Language Week in New Zealand set to complete tomorrow. Now I'm Bafonato Bola with the stories in detail. The Commonwealth nations in Europe are mourning the recent passing of their sovereign queen this morning. Queen Elizabeth II, who became queen for 70 years, died this morning at age 96 at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Meanwhile, her eldest son Prince Philip has become king of the United Kingdom and will be known as King Charles III, and his wife Camilla will be known as Queen Camilla. Queen Elizabeth II was Queen of the United Kingdom from 1952 until her passing, after reigning for 70 years, and is the longest of any British monarch and the second longest recorded of any monarch of a sovereign country in the world. Queen Elizabeth was Queen of 14 other Commonwealth realms in addition to the United Kingdom. When her father died in February 1952, Elizabeth was then 25 years old, became Queen of 7 independent Commonwealth countries, include the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan and Ceylon, known today as Sri Lanka, as well as head of the Commonwealth. Queen Elizabeth is the eldest daughter of King George VI and Queen Mother Elizabeth. In November 1947, she married Philip Mountbatten, a former Prince of Greece and Denmark. Their marriage lasted for 73 years until his death last April 2021. They had 4 children together, with the eldest being King Charles III, then Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. In Tonga, the late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is famously remembered when she and Prince Philip was hosted by Queen Tongatapu III in 1953 for a 2-day visit during the Commonwealth tour, following Queen Tongatapu gained widespread popularity when she attended the Queen's coronation that year. Queen Elizabeth also visited Tonga in 1970 before returning again in 1977 during the Queen's Silver Jubilee tour of the Commonwealth, when they were hosted by King Taufa'ahau IV and Queen Halaiwalumata'aho. Since then, other visits to Tonga were made by members of the extended British royal family for coronations, royal funerals and other occasions. However, to honor the passing of the Queen of the United Kingdom and the realm countries, flags will be flown at half-mast, with preparations begin for a state memorial service to be held in the United Kingdom. The Australian High Commissioner, Her Excellency Rachel Moore, is currently at the Ha'apai Island to meet and talk with communities to partner and implement Australian aid program. Her Excellency was welcomed by the acting governor of Ha'apai, Ana Wawhewikoso, who is also the principal of Ha'apai High School. Alice Tupo takes up that story.
The Public Relations Officer of the Australian High Commission is currently at Ha'apai with the Australian High Commissioner. She reported that the talking chief of Uiha, Halatokoa, and their people welcomed them to the solar farm, as it is one of the Australia's aid worth $1 million. She adds that the Uiha's solar farm will be completed in a week, and this will help generate power to Whanamea and Uiha. They then continued on their visit to Bukotala's solar farm, which will be the next project once the work at Uiha's solar farm is complete. Her Excellency Rachel Moore also visited GBS Lofanga's new playground, which was funded by Australia, and she has met with Ha'apai Deputy Governor Ana Wawhewikoso to discuss different issues, including distributing assistance to areas in Ha'apai that need assistance, such as creating better accessibility to public places for people living with disabilities, such as the health center in Foa, 2 primary schools, to name a few. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Alice Tupo.
Tonga New Zealanders are currently celebrating Tonga Language Week, an annual event to celebrate Tongan culture and language in New Zealand. The growth, nurturing and sustainment of the Tongan language is in the heart of this year's Tonga Language Week, as it started on Sunday to complete tomorrow. Alice Tupo again with the detail.
The theme for Tonga Language Week this year is Ke tu'uloa a lea whakatonga I Aotearoa. which translates to sustaining the Tongan language in Aotearoa. The Minister for Pacific Peoples, Albito William Seo, is urging Tongans to embrace Tonga Language Week 2022 to help stop the decline in its use by the New Zealand-born Tongan population. Stats in New Zealand revealed that Tongans were the fastest growing Pacific ethnic group in New Zealand in recent years, with their numbers increasing more than threefold between 1986 and 2006. Between 2013 and 2018, the Tongan population in Aotearoa increased by 20,000. Seo said it was encouraging to see Tongan groups around the country continue to commit and deliver initiatives every year to promote the Pacific language. Meanwhile, activities and events have been conducted across the countries, in schools, community groups and workplaces this week to mark this special event. However, this week, many of the online and in-person initiatives planned focused on youth and the passing of cultural knowledge from the elders to young people through activities such as music, cooking, well-being, dance, arts and craft, storytelling and oratory. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Ali Situpo.
The Climate Change Division of the Ministry of Metek is strengthening and empowering all media organizations in Tonga to work closely in ensuring impacts of climate change reaching the whole of Tonga. Mark Ake tells you more.
The Climate Change Division held a two-day workshop with local media yesterday with the aim of assisting each other to find ways for the people to have a better understanding and be aware of the impacts of climate change. The director of the Climate Change Division, Luisa Tuiafitu Malolo, says the climate change is affecting everyone and there is a need to raise climate change awareness in Tonga.
One of the objectives of these two-day workshops is to seek the continuous support of the Tonga media organization to work closely with Department of Climate Change and also MEDEC, with government organizations to raise the awareness of on the issue of climate change, make sure that the Tongans are better understanding this very important issue. One of the objectives of the workshop is to inform you that Cabinet has endorsed national documents on climate change. I'm sure that my officers have informed the Tonga Media Association of all the climate change documents we have developed and approved by Cabinet, such as the Tonga Climate Change Policy, the Joint National Action Plan on Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, the Tonga Nationally Determined Contributions, the long-term low emission development strategies, and so other related climate change documentations. So that's one of the objectives of this two-day workshop, is to inform you that we have those documents in place and to discuss with you how are we going to simplify those information so that you can help us in disseminating those information to the general public.
Meanwhile, the British Deputy High Commissioner to Tonga, Paul Lawrence, presented camera equipment to the CEO of MEDEC for the Climate Change Division to utilize.
This will be used by the Department of Climate Change to film, edit images and video links to their NAP action that will resonate locally. And this is something that was very nice to hear from your director about as well. Thank you very much for articulating that. And I know you hoped that it will help spread awareness and will strengthen institutional capacity to communicate success stories on tackling climate challenges. The strength of information resonates through the media, and we are pleased to see the efforts in engaging them to help raise awareness of climate change here in Tonga. This training will help the Tongan people better understand in absolute simplicity what they can do in their local communities to contribute to Tonga's overall targets and goals in fighting climate change. The UK is committed to working with all countries and joining forces with civil society, businesses, and those on the front line of climate change to inspire climate action.
The CEO of MEDEC, Paula Mau, acknowledged the assistance as it will be an eye for the whole world and Tonga to witness climate change.
And that is the very purpose of today's gathering of the media. You are the eyes for our communities, our people to see the meaning and all the work on climate change, not only here in Tonga but also the world. As I've said before, our eyes perhaps is the only organ or sense seeing nothing but only the truth.
However, this two-day workshop was completed today.
Police search continues for 3 people missing at sea. The search continues for 2 men and a teenager who have been missing for over a week now, following the small boat sank between Nuku'alofa and Ewaiki. Mark Ake again with the detail.
Tonga Police today confirmed the names of the missing passengers as Malakai Tonga Vailea, also known as Kelepi Vailea, aged 40, Pita Sanele Uvea, aged 42, from Honua, Ewa, and a 15-year-old Tuitalau Kingston Tonga of Nuale, Tongatapu. As of the 30th of August at around 7 p.m., 6 men boarded the small boat at a wharf in Afa, Eastern Tongatapu, bound for Ewa, with the boat encountering difficulties and sank between Nuku'alofa and Ewaiki. Police reported that one man, Fereti Faivalu, aged 49 of Vaini, managed to swim ashore at Nuku'alofa, where he reported the tragic incident in the early morning of August the 31st. A search and rescue operation was called and found 2 men with one surviving, Devita Sakia Vailea, aged 60 of Ohonua Eua, but the other man who died was identified as Makisi Tonga, aged 42 of Nuale. In an update from Tonga Police yesterday, the Tonga Navy, assisted by private boats, continued the search for the 3 men who remain missing in the surrounding coast and land areas on the eastern side of Tongatapu. The search area included the small islands of Ewaiki, Tau, Atam, Nuku, Fugava, Motutapu, Onevao, Onevai, and Monuafe. The Rurutai Airlines also carried out a special aerial search, but with no results. The public is urged, especially those living on the eastern side of Tongatapu, such as Halariku, and on the other islands of Ewaiki and Eua, to contact police if they have any information that may assist in their search.
And the Kingdom of Tonga reopens for business was the theme of an event hosted by the New Zealand Business Council and the New Zealand Tonga Business Council. This event provided members and guests opportunities to engage and listen to updates from Tonga and organizations doing business here at the Kingdom. Lord Fafanua, the Lord Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, gave the keynote address, spoke on the current business landscape here in Tonga. Lord Fafanua outlined the major events that impacted Tonga's economy, mainly the 2 years lockdown, the volcanic eruption and the tsunami, COVID-19, the rising shipping cost and the supply chain constraint, and the global prices of fossil fuels, which has a huge impact in Tonga. The Lord Speaker encouraged private investment to rebuild the economy following the recent shocks to the country. In particular, he touched on remittances, tourism, construction, and the agricultural and fisheries sector. That wraps up this evening's news package, but before we part, here's one final look at today's top stories. Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom dies at age 96 this morning, with Prince Charles stepping up as the new king and head of the Commonwealth States. Police search continues for 3 people missing at sea, and Tongan Language Week in New Zealand set to complete tomorrow. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Vafana Topola. Good evening.